Some people quietly enter our lives, leave an unforgettable mark, and then paths drift apart. But what if one day we realize they need us, only to find out it might already be too late? When Ellen DeGeneres learned that her former neighbor, Henry, was now living in a nursing home, an uneasy feeling settled in her chest. She remembered him from her childhood, always fixing old radios in his backyard, telling her stories about the world, and laughing with a joy that could brighten anyone's day. But now, that man was alone within the silent walls of a nursing home. The next morning, Ellen got into her car and drove straight to the facility. However, the moment she stepped inside, she sensed something was off. The hallways were eerily quiet. The air felt heavy. Fluorescent lights cast a cold, pale glow on the worn-out walls. Abandoned wheelchairs sat against the walls, and the hurried footsteps of nurses echoed faintly in the distance. As she approached the front desk, the receptionist glanced up and her eyes widened in shock. You're Ellen DeGeneres! What are you doing here?" Ellen offered a polite smile, but her mind was already on Henry. "I'm here to visit an old friend. His name is Henry." The receptionist's cheerful expression faltered instantly. "Henry? Oh, yes, of course. But he might be a little tired right now." Ellen narrowed her eyes. Something didn't feel right. She quietly made her way down the hall, her steps careful yet determined. Reaching Henry's door, she pushed it open slightly. There he was, her old friend Henry, sitting on his bed. But the lively, cheerful man she once knew was gone. His eyes were vacant, his face pale, and the room carried an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Ellen stepped inside and slowly sat at the edge of the bed. "Henry, it's me, Ellen." The elderly man slowly lifted his head, as if recognizing her was a challenge. For a moment he simply stared. Then a faint smile appeared on his lips. "Ellen, what are you doing here?" Ellen felt her chest tighten. Friends visit each other, don't they? But the sadness in Henry's eyes told her something was terribly wrong here. Henry seemed happy to see Ellen, yet there was an unmistakable fear in his demeanor. His hands fidgeted, his eyes darted away. Ellen noticed and gently asked, "Henry, is everything okay here?" Henry lowered his head slightly. A long silence followed before he finally whispered, "This place, it's not a good place, Ellen." Ellen felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean? Is something wrong?" Henry took a deep breath, his gaze drifting toward the corner of the room. "They mistreat us. They delay our medications. Sometimes, they don't even feed us. And if we complain, they threaten us to keep quiet." Ellen's eyes widened in shock. How could something like this happen? Who is doing this? Henry's eyes flickered toward the door. In a hushed, trembling voice, he said, "Head nurse Martha. She runs this place. Everything is under her control. If we speak out, they cut off our visits. And then, no one hears from us again." At that moment, a shadow passed outside the door. Ellen turned her head sharply but saw no one. Something was deeply wrong here. She took a deep breath and reached for Henry's hands. "Don't worry, Henry. Someone is listening now." Tears welled up in Henry's eyes. For the first time in a long time, he felt heard. But Ellen knew this wouldn't end here. Something was happening inside this nursing home, and she wasn't going to let it go. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the truth itself, but the fact that no one is willing to hear it. As Ellen processed Henry's words, a shadow flickered outside the door. Instinctively, she turned her head, but the hallway was empty. Yet something was clear. Someone had been listening. Ellen kept her composure and smiled reassuringly. "Henry, we need to keep talking about this, but not here." Henry nodded, but hesitation clouded his eyes. "Ellen, you shouldn't stay too long. They might target you too." Just then, the door swung open sharply. Head nurse Martha entered with a practiced smile, but her eyes were ice cold. "Ellen DeGeneres, what an unexpected surprise." Ellen stood up, giving a polite nod. "I'm just here to visit an old friend. Is there a problem?" Martha folded her arms across her chest. "I'm afraid visiting hours are almost over. Mr. Henry needs his rest." Ellen narrowed her eyes slightly. "I don't think I was disturbing him, but I did notice something. People here seem afraid of you." For a brief second, Martha's fake smile faltered. "Everyone here follows the rules, Ms. DeGeneres, and if you ask too many questions, I may have to restrict your visits. I have that power here." A slow anger built in Ellen's chest. But she knew that raising her voice wouldn't help. She had to be smart. Taking a deep breath, she locked eyes with Martha. "Then I suppose there's no harm in making those rules public, is there?" Martha's face tensed. For the first time, she realized Ellen wasn't just a guest. She was a real threat. But for Ellen, there was no turning back now. The truth had to come out. Ellen left the nursing home with a storm brewing inside her. The image of Henry and the other elderly residents, neglected, mistreated, silenced, wouldn't leave her mind. The moment she got into her car, she grabbed her phone and called her team. "Find me everything on this nursing home. Any complaints? Who works here? Their financial records? Get me all the information you can. If something illegal is happening, I won't let it go unpunished." Hours later, her assistant called back. "Ellen, what we found is horrifying." As Ellen flipped through the documents sent to her, a cold rage settled in her bones. Dozens of complaints had been filed over the past 5 years, all dismissed due to lack of evidence. Residents had been starved, denied medication, and kept from seeing their families. The facility was under Martha's control, and financial records showed she had been funding a luxurious lifestyle while cutting costs on basic care. This wasn't just mismanagement, this was systematic abuse. Ellen clenched her phone tightly. This isn't over. That night, she returned to the nursing home. But this time, she wasn't there as a visitor. She was there to uncover the truth, once and for all. Sometimes, a single voice can change the lives of thousands. As Ellen shared all the evidence with her team, one thought consumed her. This nursing home needed to be shut down. With the first light of morning, the abuse, neglect, and mistreatment suffered by the elderly residents would no longer remain hidden. Ellen reached out to the media and human rights organizations, ensuring that this injustice would be exposed. An urgent press conference was called. The horrors of starvation, withheld medication, and threats against the residents were revealed in detail. Former employees came forward, admitting they had quit after witnessing the mistreatment. Martha's lavish lifestyle, funded by the suffering of the elderly, was exposed with undeniable proof. The news exploded across the country. Outrage spread like wildfire on social media under the hashtag #Justice for the Elderly. But the most powerful moment came when Ellen spoke live on air. This is not just about one nursing home. This is a reality faced by thousands of elderly people every day. If we remain silent, we are leaving them to die in the shadows. Following her broadcast, law enforcement took immediate action. Authorities raided the nursing home. The facility was permanently shut down, and the residents were relocated to safer environments where they would receive proper care. And most importantly, head nurse Martha was arrested on charges of neglect, abuse, and criminal misconduct. Later that day, Ellen visited Henry one last time. Tears welled up in his eyes as he gripped her hand. "I never thought anyone would fight for us, Ellen." Ellen gave him a warm smile, holding his hand tightly. "No one in this world should ever feel forgotten, Henry." That day, it wasn't just Henry's voice that was heard. It was the voice of thousands who had suffered in silence. Because sometimes one act of courage can change an entire system.